A documentary about the underground comic artist CRUMB and his amazing life and times and family.
This is probably the next thing I'm most well known for. I'm just trying to, like, hook you into who I am here. This sold millions of copies. I got $600 from CBS Records in 1968.
The drawing style is familiar there to anyone who's been following popular art for the last 30 years. It belongs to Robert Crumb, who came out of underground comic books in San Francisco in the 1960s and is now considered one of the great formative influences in comics and satire over the last 3 decades. And if that were all that the new documentary CRUMB was about, it would be enough. But CRUMB, one of the most painful and revealing documentaries I've ever seen, is about a whole lot more. It begins with CRUMB explaining how much of his work is directly inspired by the wounds and hurts he experienced while he was growing up.
If girls would see that I was more kind and sensitive, they would like me more. And they were kind of impressed by the fact that I could draw, but I couldn't understand why they liked these cruel, aggressive guys and not me, because I was more kind and sensitive and everything, more like them. I was more like them. I didn't realize that they didn't want you to be like them, basically.
Then we get a glimpse of his dysfunctional family, including his brother Charles, who was his greatest influence, who started Robert on the road to cartooning, but who dropped it himself and everything else. Charles hasn't left his mother's home in 30 years.
What was your mom like when you were a kid?
She was an amphetamine addict, and these amphetamines would make her act real crazy and do and say all these really crazy things. It had an absolutely devastating effect, I think, on all 5 of us kids.
Another brother, Max, practices strange dietary and religious disciplines. He is also a naturally gifted artist.
When I had that first epileptic fit, I was in the 6th grade, I was drawing this picture of my face with charcoal in art class. I got the idea, hey, man, you can draw, look at this, started working out. It's the first time I had this, artistic experience, And it was so violent to me that I had a seizure.
The movie includes commentary on CRUMB's work by his friends and critics who react to its strong and deliberately offensive subject matter.
Here's an example of the kind of thing I'm talking about in Ooga Booga. It's actually a mockery of black people.
Yes, CRUMB's work is offensive, and it's meant to be. But after seeing this documentary, we understand that he's not simply drawing these images for fun or to make money. He's drawing them because he has to. Seeing Robert Crumb, learning about his background, meeting his family, we understand that his work, which is dismissed in some quarters as merely cartoons, are a lifeline. It's all that keeps him functioning in a precarious and tragic existence. The movie was directed by Terry Zwigoff, a friend of Crumb's, and he realized Crumb would have never let a stranger get this close. All I can say is, this is one of the most extraordinary and riveting films of the year, and if you see it, you will not forget it.
Well, Roger, just last week I said I don't expect to see a better film this year than Crumb, and I'm sure I won't, because this is why I go to the movies, to be taken into a human life, in this case 3 lives and a family, and we learn things about, you talked about the artistic impulse, and isn't it refreshing to get that high flown in thinking about a movie? You know how rare it is to hear yourself talk like that about a picture? Well, how about this? Have you seen a picture that showed you more about sibling relationships? How about parents raising children and the influences they have? This is a great family drama. Now, we've seen 2 documentaries in the last year. Hoop Dreams, a great family story and influencing kids, and here, this Crumb. I rank them together in quality.
Well, it's a great film, and one of the most amazing things about it is that anyone would allow this kind of a film to be made about them. We're not surprised that the Hoop Dreams people allowed themselves to be filmed. They look pretty wonderful in that film, but in this film, what Crumb is doing is really letting the pain of a lifetime be right there on the screen. And as you look, there's a sequence where we go through, shot by shot, one of the sequences of one of his comic panels. And it's really rough stuff. And yet, then they pull back and they begin to get into exactly where that came from. Or in another case, the bully that figures in all of his work is a real person who he really still hates from high school. Or the girl that he always wanted to go out with in high school, and it's all right there. He's wearing his heart right there on the screen, and it's so moving.
And every artist could tell the same stories.
Very few would.
I'm sure that's absolutely true. This movie is not coming out until April. The reason we're mentioning it early is, frankly, we want to get it as many playdates in as many cities as we possibly can. CRUMB, Demand it in your local movie theater. Coming up next, many of today's biggest stars offer some ideas on how to make American movies better.
Toronto, Cannes, Berlin, and Sundance, everybody chat about good movies, chat about good movies, chat about good movies, good movies, good movies. Hello and welcome to the Good Movie Chat About, where we have good chats about good movies with good guests. I'm Lord Gugu, also known as Bobby, today known as the Birthday Bobby, and we're here to chat about some good movies. That's right, folks, it is my birthday, so now more than ever, if you are so inclined, please feel free to subscribe. I have awesome emotes that you will enjoy that if you unlock them, and I also have sound alerts you can feel free to use. Nobody ever does, and that's alright as well. Okay, earlier this week, the Doughboys podcast amazed the world in announcing their upcoming series of Doughboys comics, Mitch and Weiger Chew America, Crisis on Infinite Girths. The comics are to be written by none other than today's guest sitting across the screen from me, who has also written for the Onion News Network and Rick and Morty Comics and many other places, and I am honored to be joined by the great Alex Fearer. Alex, welcome to the show.
Hello. The backwards baseball cap. I'm ready to talk movies.
Yeah, that's right. Let's really get down to it. That means business, turning the cap around, always.
This is for the casuals.
That's right.
This is what Siskel and Ebert did in the clip you showed earlier.
That's right.
Hoop dreams, baby.
They did. They stand. I mean, part of why I was so excited to talk about this movie, and we're not going to talk about the movie yet, but was because I love Siskel and Ebert and their lore of, like, just everything about the movies they loved, and I watched a lot of old Siskel and Eberts, and this year was, like, they loved Hoop Dreams and they loved CRUMB, and, like, those were their two, like, they stand for them.
Yeah.
And
that was 94, right?
It did festivals in 94, but didn't get their wide release for CRUMB in America until 1995. I only know that because I just looked it up before, like, 15 minutes ago. But we're not getting into the movie yet. That's jumping ahead of time. I will say, speaking of hats, I'm wearing my birthday gifts. They're getting green. They're getting chroma keyed out, but this is subject of. We talked about this just a couple of weeks ago on the stream. This is the Seven Samurai flag.
Love all the little things are being chromed out.
I know, it actually looks really cool. It's like I've had like a phaser being like a ray hit at me or something.
What?
Yeah, so I have my Seven Samurai shirt and my Shaw Brothers hat from my lovely wife Abby, who's in the chat. Thank you so much. So Alex,
yeah.
First things first. We're talking movies, and when you're at the movies and you're talking movies, I'm doing Trump hands. You need.
That's how he talks. That's my Trump impression.
I mean, yes.
Now.
You need concessions. So I have just an iced tea. Is my go-to. Do you have some concessions with you now?
I guess I do, and you'll see them. Left over from the holiday celebrations.
Oh, nice.
I got no one faint because it's so damn cute. I got a little gingerbread man mug filled with French press coffee I made earlier.
Nice. From the Shrek movies, because it's a movie show. There we go.
Yeah, Shrek movies.
Not my gumdrop buttons.
I recognize them from more indie fare, such as Ingmar Bergman Christmas movies.
Oh, sure.
I recognize them from, God damn, this ruins the joke. What was this big Christmas movie with all the kids?
Ingmar Bergman Christmas. I of course know this already, and I'm just searching my mind. Fanny and Alexander.
Yeah, that's the one I knew off the top of my head. I'm just testing you all. Oh, I can remember Shrek 2 by heart.
I need to see that. I need to watch both the film. Is that one of the ones that has a film version and like a mini series version? That's like the full length
version. Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool.
He's kind of like the David Chase of his time. I like to call it Ingmar Bergman. Tony Soprano is kind of like the Franny of our
That's
era.
right. He
Yeah.
worked in multiple mediums. You could put him in all kinds of contexts, and he made it work. What a guy.
He's the Chuck Lorre of the 70s.
Yes, he is the Dick Wolf. He could have.
Oh, Law and Order Fancy.
Yeah, that's right. Stockholm Fire instead of Chicago Fire. Alex,
Yeah.
what was these are sort of our intro questions as we're getting into it before we get into the actual movie that we both watched and are excited to talk about. What was the last movie that you watched?
In a theater or
In
in a
general.
theater?
I mean, and if it was CRUMB by chance, if you watched it, what besides that?
I watched it last night for this.
Right.
But the last movie I saw in the theater I'm excited to talk about is Friendship.
Ooh, I haven't
With-
seen it yet. I'm so excited.
I got a big name drop for my viewing, too.
Oh, do
We
it.
had Sam Richardson in the audience at the
Oh,
Vista.
wow.
Ooh. And I was like, it's the friend of
It's the
Friendship, man.
actual other Detroiter. Holy cow.
Oh my goodness. God, that was a weird little masterpiece. That was perfect. That was, if A24, like, it wasn't like a audience tested studio comedy, but it was the closest thing A24 would get without all the weird lame selling out where maybe like LeBron James and James Carville have like little roles like in a Judd Apatow movie. It was the audience was losing it every single second, everything Tim Robinson said. Have you seen it yet?
No, I have not. I am looking forward to it. But I mean, I'm such a fan of Tim and the whole and what all I've heard from people that have seen it is it's like if you like I Think You Should Leave, you will really like the movie or love it.
I mean, if you like I don't oh boy. Who cares? This will never get back to me. To anyone else. But I often think about like it's so funny. Like we had like a little moment where it was like Judd Apatow and a lot of his like proteges, Seth Rogen aside, who does funny work, which is like, oh, comedy's real serious. Oh, it's about the pain we all have. It's the most serious thing. And then that got replaced by a bunch of fringe Nazis kind of talking about what you can say in Nazi spaces. The comedy movie kind of disappeared. So Friendship, and like before Friendship, it was Bottoms, which is also like a perfect comedy movie, but that was like years and years ago. Friendship was a straight comedy. It was a comedy made by people whose talent it is to be funny, and funny like in the real way, not in the kind of like in the way where people convince you this is good and you watch it and you're like, yeah, I guess. I wish that had an ending. I wish that had more of a plot. This was a great movie. This was a great funny movie. I am excited for you and everyone else on Earth.
Yeah, and I mean, I totally get what, like, agree with what you're saying, because, yeah, for so long, comedies were about how guys needed to, like, quit smoking weed and grow up. Like, that was every Judd Apatow movie. And, like, they were all very grounded in reality and, like, like, making it, like, I mean, to a fault, because it became more and more just about Judd Apatow's actual life as it became, like, funny people and This Is 40 and stuff, like,
a good space for that. It was just like, I do think marketing them as big mainstream, you and your 12-year-old friends are gonna like throw popcorn at the screen and lose your minds was maybe not the way to go. And by the way, Seth Rogen is like the one like big Judd Apatow protege making you're gonna fucking shake yourself laughing kind of products. Even the studio that is made so artistically, it is so focused on joke per second to make sure you don't lose that like thrill.
Yeah, and he tries stuff and takes risks in his movies and stuff too, but he's always trying to make you laugh, and that's great. But I was just thinking that with like Friendship, and even though I haven't seen it yet, but and like you mentioned, Bottoms, is I think a lot of what makes those really great is that they free themselves to not have to be in reality, to like just be completely absurd at any moment, and you know, like reflect the, you know, our times in exaggerating it that comedy should do. The good stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. Conan O'Brien influence, Simpsons influence, that because our generation kind of got like, they don't, you know, it's bad out there for movies. So and they They don't make a lot of, like, the biggest studio comedy coming out this summer is going to be a remake of Naked Gun. And I think it's going to be excellent, but that is very much the older generation still, like, sticking around doing things their way. And
Yeah, I'm really
boy,
excited for the Akiva Schaffer
yes.
of it all. Yeah, like
Yeah.
that's what gets me excited. And the trailer like got multiple laughs out of me, which I can't remember the last time a comedy trailer actually like made me laugh sincerely.
That was good. Even like the OJ joke in the end, I was like, I know that's wonderful.
It's a
Like
great way to joke about it. Yeah.
Well, I'm watching the Mulaney talk show, and the thing that kind of shocks me the most is he does talk very openly. Like, we're both fans of Jack AM. Great show.
Yes,
Talk
dearly
Show.
departed. Yes.
I think he should come back. I know he's not.
No, I have a feeling. I haven't talked to Jack in a long time, but I have a feeling he's much happier than when he was doing the show.
Absolutely, yes. He was a soldier against the world's most annoying people when he was.
I know.
Out there. Yeah.
And it's so funny anytime one of them rears their head, like anytime Destiny is doing some bullshit or something, I'm like, oh, remember when Jack was like feuding with that weird guy or whatever.
But even beyond Destiny, it's like Last of Us came back and like, Craig Mason.
Yep.
He was villain in like my particular fandom for Jack stuff. I forgot why I brought up Jack.
Okay. Hey, thanks, creme de la creme, for the birthday wish. I mean, we were talking about just like you're saying Mulaney, and you're watching Mulaney.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because he was doing a bit about raising his like child, and he was talking about like, oh, it feels kind of like working for Ellen, where you like pretend you're happy, but you're like tired, and everyone's yelling at you, like that kind of thing. It's like
I remember I saw a clip of that.
That was wonderful, but I'm like, that feels like a change. He's talking very openly about his drug use. He's talking very openly, but like not in a way it's like, folks, we have something serious to talk about. He's like very much like you and your friends would joke. It's a part of your life, and he talks about it. The Ellen thing, we all know about it, and it feels like the next step in comedy. That's connected to the OJ thing, where the next step I feel like is removing kind of the old norms and just going for this kind of reality, because
well, I mean, think about like what was it's shitty that it's what finally took him down, but what took Cosby down, right? It was Hannibal Buress going on stage in his comedy and like directly addressing it to make fun of it in his stand-up set. That this guy that is like pull your pants up respectability politics is like, I've heard more stories about you than any other comedian. Like all this crazy stuff, and sure enough, like that was the dam bursting at that point, which was crazy to think about.
I love it. I don't know, I want good comedy to kind of come back to the mainstream. I do. Everything got kind of softer, and I think it is partially because people realize just how intense a good joke can be. Like everyone knows, like it's not a joke anymore. It's also like a very effective tool. So as a result, you like turn on any talk show host, except like John Oliver, Jon Stewart, or Mulaney, who are all doing fringe stuff, and you see Fallon ruffling Trump's hair, and
right.
Well, and it's funny, yeah.
Well, no, it's like everything just got sanded down. Everything like you think it's commercials again. Like remember how when we were growing up, like you would never see a big movie star in a commercial, or if you did, it was like a big deal. Like it wasn't a thing that happened a lot because that was seen as, you don't do that. But now, both because like there's fewer projects and things pay less and everything's the industry's on a downturn and all that, like, yeah, that's who's in them. Like you don't see ads with just regular people in them now. Like there used to be commercial actor was like a whole class of actor, and same for, I mean, this is, I know you're a big fan of animation. I mean, voice acting, like that used to, there are still some of the like great voice actors, but now these, so many movies are animated, but they fill them with like Rihanna, and why? Why is Rihanna voicing Smurfette? We're not going to get to look at her. I don't get it.
The real Smurfette?
Yes.
That's real? That sucks.
Well, I mean, I just heard. So I saw somebody had just seen the trailer for it, and they were in the Discord I'm in, and they were saying that they spent like 30 seconds of the trailer being like, Rihanna is Smurfette, and it was like her just like dancing around, like the Smurfette dancing around, and it's like, why? What's the point? Why is Rihanna Smurfette?
that's a get for the Smurfs, but that's a downgrade for Rihanna, who is just like, she's on that like level of like Madonna or Beyonce, where you
Well,
are
I feel
just
like
a legend.
she likes to just make money, which I fully respect. Like, she's got her makeup line and like her lingerie or whatever. Like, she like collects money. Like, I think she makes the music for fun at this point. And I don't even actually really think she's had an album in a while. I'm not gonna act like I'm really big on Rihanna, but like, so, and in that sense, I get why she's doing it. Like, and I get why all the stars do it, because you can fucking be in your pajamas when you go in and record the lines.
Right, yeah, you know, she can't do a better thing. She can't do a better animated movie. No disrespect to the Smurfs.
I mean, that is, well, but that's what gets made, and I bet you it makes a ton of money. Those Smurfs.
Oh, I'm sure. I don't think you need Rihanna to make a ton of money.
And that is also the other, like, what is she bringing to their bottom line? Anyway.
Dad wants to hear Rihanna's voice.
Yes. That's something for Daddy to be like, hang on. That makes it's like makes me associate with like that music video from 12 years ago that got me really excited. Now I'm liking Smurfs.
That's a good point, actually. It is like, I got a 6-year-old. 12 years ago, I was younger. Now I'm a father. Rihanna's voice, it is a throwback for me. Gonna go there, cry for my lost youth.
That's right. I remember 2007 when Umbrella came on the scene. I was just in college then. Oh boy, I was once young.
I was once young. Now I'm old. I'm taking my kids to see an even older thing. No, you know what bummed
I'm taking them to see the third reboot of this franchise for movies.
So fucking annoying. God, it doesn't, like, I think it's even annoying to hear a Smurfs reboot. We need new bad pop.
They just did the fucking Neil Patrick Harris Smurfs like 15 years ago. Like, was not long ago.
I think the new generation needs its own dog shit over That's a big part of it, is just the death of mainstream marketing. So because of that, you can't go like, oh, coming soon, Mr. Like a new thing. It really is just like, no one watches TV anymore. Everyone watches streaming. Streaming has no ads. So it is like...
And streaming is based around like catering to what their customer wants and what their audience wants. So in that sense, it's also driven by just the same kind of, algorithmically derived, like thought process of what's going to sell, what audience is served by this. And it just sands it down. So it's like, well, we know that this property has this audience. So if we reboot it, we can guarantee that so much of our customers, and we can get some subscribers or whatever. And so it's like everybody's making the safest decision, and there's no... There used to be like movie producers who actually loved movies and were driven by trying to make like the best movies, and now they just want to make money, like in
absolutely
only.
100%. It's disappointing. It's disappointing. By the way, all these streaming services lose money. It really is just kind of like built around a cult. If you killed every streaming service and just made everyone go back to cable, everyone would benefit from that. Including the people owning the IP, the people running these channels, the only people.
And we'll keep DVRs, so that way people can still do the watching on demand on their own time, but it's through the DVR. That was maybe the one that was best.
Get a VCR with a big VHS. Make people fast forward through commercials. No more.
Figure out how to program your VCR to schedule the recording.
You know Alex Fear, little Alex Fear in high school, had to watch Adult Swim? You time your VCR. That's what you gotta do.
Oh, did you mix up and you set it for PM when you meant AM, and so now it's recording daytime TV instead? Oh, well, boo-hoo, dumbass.
Oh, it's noon, and you recorded a bunch of fucking Nick Jr. or whatever the hell. Sorry, Teen Alex. Yeah, fucked up.
Oh, kids these days.
Kids these days. And
they don't know how good they had it. This iPad baby generation, they've been raised on. I mean, legitimately, my nephew is just, as soon as he was able to understand like taking in content, and he's now 6, it was just like, can I watch trains? Put trains on, make trains go on this screen. I know you can make trains happen there. Let me see trains there. And it's like, yeah, fine, here's videos of trains. Go off.
The reason we had a monoculture is we all watched a bunch of stuff we were meh on. We watched it 24/7. I didn't love the fucking Gilligan's Island, but that's what was on.
Yeah.
And you either watch that or watch nothing. And so somehow that kept away fascism. That kept our democracy alive. That we all watched, that we all knew what Happy Days was in the year 1998.
This is why I think that the actual canniest decision that Lorne Michaels made was in the 90s licensing reruns for SNL to Comedy Central, because to me that's where the Comedy Central legacy really came from. Was like, for me, was not even necessarily the currently airing stuff, though of course I loved the Will Ferrell era stuff as well. But like, it was the Dana Carvey, Kevin Nealon, like, because those were the reruns that they played the most on Comedy Central.
Yeah. And by the way, that gave us dorks something to do. Because if you wanted the stuff that wasn't airing, you had to be a little weird. You had to be a smart guy.
Right.
Now, click of a button, everyone gets mad at that John Wayne Playboy interview, and I'm like, you used to have to be a real weirdo to find that interview.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. You needed to have like a big collection of periodicals or something to be like, why are you saving those Playboys? For the articles.
For the article. The Playboy articles were good.
I know they had like fucking like the intellectuals of their day, like all writing in it.
Oh yeah, you had Hunter S. Thompson writing an essay, and then you flip over. I remember a senator was like, "Oh yeah, where are the articles on Pornhub?" Because they were talking about legislating like internet pornography, and it went like, "I bet that would help things. I bet that would help if like Yeah.
No. I think you're right, because like what happens now is that like people are just on YouTube, and then the algorithm feeds them Ben Shapiro, or it feeds them, whatever, horrific Aiden Ross or whatever shitty person. And I think that if it was like Pornhub or whatever, you would watch your porn video and then it would autoplay like right after you sorry everybody, I'm gonna go blue, but right after you nut, then it's like
your voice was dropping after you said nut.
right after you nut, then it like presents a really interesting like video essay that's like actually like to your interests, and you're like, and like then, so it's like right when you're in that moment of like clarity and like total zen or whatever, then it's like we start giving you like the interesting intellectual discourse.
They play the video, and then they play an essay about why you have to like be against Sesta Fosta, like the anti-porn
right
law.
Totally, yeah.
And then if you watch like something very misogynistic, you got a feminist essay about why you watch was wrong, and it's like, okay, it's interesting. All right.
Yeah, the more degrading the porn you watch is, it's like it like correlates to how feminist the essay they play you after is. To balance
I got to talk to you about your birthday.
Sure. Okay.
Your birthday. I don't want to pave over that. That's cool. How old are you turning? Unless you
no, it's fine. I am 39 years old today, so I'm staring it down. I'm staring it down a year away. I don't even care, honestly, because I'm thinking about it like I freaked out about turning. I freaked out about turning 30 when I turned 25, and then I got over it a couple years later, and by the time I was 27 or 28, I was just telling people I was 30, because I was like, yeah, it's close enough.
Wow.
And I have loved my 30s, and I think that, it's like my 30s was I had figured out stuff from my 20s, so I just can expect that trend to kind of continue into my 40s. So, and it's just, it's another day. I do think next year I'll probably do a big blowout thing, because I'll be turning 40. But this year I don't really care.
Congratulations.
But thank you for giving me an opportunity to make it more about me. I do appreciate that.
Oh, no, it is your birthday. I want to celebrate that.
Well, honestly, I love talking movies. So getting able to do that on my birthday, when you were like, well, do you not want to do it on your birthday? And I was like, no, no, I want to still do my stream on my birthday, because I've been loving doing the stream. I love talking movies. So actually, because we were well acquainted back in, like you said, the Jack AM days. Of course, one of my favorite Alex memories is BugCon 2021, where Alex would serve as the bouncer and would have to approve everyone individually entry into BugCon. And he was a harsh bouncer, and he was really a stickler.
That was Jack's bid. I gotta give credit where it's due. That was Jack's bid. He hired me to basically be a dick. He knew I could do it.
So you just get
He knew I
heckled
could
on
do
your
it.
way into the convention, wonderfully by Alex. And that was where we first met in person, and that was great. And that was when I did my Stanley Steamboat musical performance medley of Bug that I was revisiting this week. But since then, I have really overdosed on movies, like in a real way. Like basically, it was 2022 that I set the goal for myself that I would watch 500 movies in that year, and I watched close to I watched close to 600. It was like 560, I think, at the end of the year.
Can I ask some questions about that?
Yes.
How many movies a day? How many days per week?
So, like, it was interesting because I didn't expect that I would, because I'm a theater actor as well when I can get work in the DC area, and I actually did get cast in a few different shows that year, so I was worried that I wouldn't hit it, but I would kind of, like, on the weekends, I would, like, get in, like, just a bunch. So, and especially early in the year when there wasn't much going on, I'm like, I'm just going to build up, like, a huge, like, a head start kind of here. So I had watched, like, 100 by, you know, maybe 6 weeks in or something. I was really going crazy.
Nice.
But it averages out to 1.6 movies a day. So, you know, I close to once a day. I was working from home, so I would often, like, get up in the morning before I really started working. I was just having my coffee. I would watch a short little stupid thing. So I would do stuff like that. And then I would just find times in the day that I would watch a movie. And yeah, I don't watch nearly at that pace now, but I got through so much of, like, the classic stuff that it's just, like, ever since then, I still watch at least, like, 300, I think, for the past couple of years.
I mean, that's a good movie.
Without
I
trying.
can see why you watched 300.
Yeah, I watched the movie 300 times. Actually, I think that when I did the 500 movies, because I was tracking it all on Letterboxd, and it lets you know what every time you hit a milestone of 50, 100. So when I got to what I knew was going to be the 300th movie, I did watch 300 for that.
That's good.
It's not a
Did you
very
watch
good movie.
What's the 300 sequel? Did you watch that for 300?
No, I did not watch. Is 300 Rise of the something or other? I know it came out like a few years ago. I was like, why is this coming out now? It was like so long after 300 happened.
Yeah.
It was like when they did the Sin City sequel, like way too late. They love to do that.
Rodriguez, though?
Huh?
I'm looking up the Sin City sequel.
A Dame to Kill For, I believe.
2014. I couldn't even care. I couldn't give two shits.
Exactly.
Robert Rodriguez did direct it. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's
flip.
Robert Rodriguez the past 20 or so years, maybe, unless you love Spy Kids, I don't know.
I am a baby. I love Spy Kids. Shark Boy and Lava Girl? Oh my god, he keeps making Spy Kids. I didn't expect that either.
I think that, like, he makes them, like, in his backyard. Like, he has a studio or something, and he just can crank them out, probably.
None of these movies that he made feel like Robert Rodriguez movies.
Well, and, like...
Except for, like, Machete. It was 15 years ago.
And what I think is funny is when he did The Grindhouse with Quentin Tarantino, which is, like... like, widely regarded, I mean, by everyone, including Tarantino himself, to be his worst movie. But also, of the two in that Grindhouse, it's so much better than Robert Rodriguez's Planet Terror with Rose McGowan. Is that Rose McGowan that has the machine gun leg and shit?
Machine gun leg's cool. I didn't see this movie.
You didn't see Planet Terror?
Mr. Movies like you!
You haven't watched all of the Tarantino? I mean, it's pretty fun because it's Kurt Russell, so, like,
yes.
What else do you need?
Stop
selling right there.
Himself.
Kurt Russell's in there, and he's like a real bad dude, and he's like going after, and it's Zoe Bell who is like the main. She was the stunt double for Uma Thurman throughout Kill Bill, and she's also just always a main, like, stunt coordinator for Quentin Tarantino. So it's like him giving her, like, her own starring thing, and she's fun in it. I do think it's okay, but it's just, like, such a step down from it. It's like made to be schlock.
I also know part of the reason I haven't seen it, and part of the reason Robert Rodriguez's career got weird is he called out Weinstein very early on. So because of that, that Grindhouse never got re-released as Grindhouse. It got released as the two separate movies and not as the version that they wanted to do, and that was kind of as a fuck you to him for messing with him. That's fuck that guy.
Well, and now he's sitting down for interviews with Candace Owens. Did you see that?
Who did Weinstein?
Mm-hmm. From prison.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
So the whole Trump philosophy is just like bad is good. It's like comic book philosophy.
Well, yeah,
Dark
I mean,
Knight.
it's, yeah, they hate, like, you know, sex trafficking and weird Hollywood sex perverts unless they're willing to talk to them and then, like, acknowledge them in any way or whatever.
Wasn't Weinstein a big liberal? Wasn't he a big
Oh,
Democrat?
yeah. No, that was the thing. It was like, he was a huge mega donor. One of the biggest.
Yeah. But now here he is with Candace Owens. What's the matter, Weinstein? You don't got no principles
And
at
now,
all?
and now he has to watch the Oscars from prison as Adrian Brody throws gum at his ex-wife.
Oh, was that a thing?
Well, because that's who Georgina Chapman. That's who Adrian Brody is now with. I don't know if they're married, but
Oh.
and so Adrian Brody in his extremely long, uncomfortable acceptance speech. One of the best examples of a person with actor brain. It's a phenomenon I like to talk about. Is actors have a special kind of brain, and Adrian Brody exemplifies this.
Actors here's something I love about Adrian Brody. He truly was, I don't, canceled isn't even the right word because that's such a weird social media thing, but he stopped getting work because he was just that annoying.
Mhm.
Robert Rodriguez like stood up for his then partner Rose McGowan like against Weinstein. Some people just kind of like age out of the industry. Maybe if you're a silent film actor back in the day, oh, your voice doesn't sound good on film, you lose the audience. Adrian Brody never lost the audience. He was just too annoying to work with. He got banned from SNL for putting on a Jamaican wig.
Yes, of course,
And-
Rastaman. We all remember Rastaman.
You and his beloved Rastaman.
Protect your neck, protect your neck. Respect my neck, or whatever.
Yeah, they put him in SNL 50, Rastaman.
Yes.
Because they had their like worst aged moments, and there he was, Rastaman.
Oh god, and then he got and it was Sean Paul was the musical guest that he was introducing like that, and then at the end of it he said Sean John, which is the name of also now very funny to think about Diddy's clothing line at the time, who is now also just to think about what has happened to culture. We just can't you can't throw a rock talking about the last 25 years of culture without hitting like a horrific sex criminal. Isn't that crazy?
We need like a lot of actors are freaks and they're not criminals, and the thing is them spotlight all the fun freaks. Adrian Brody, this is kind of your moment.
Yeah,
I don't think you're next best.
No, he's just really weird. And anyway, so like when he was giving his acceptance speech, he was like, "Thank you to he thanked Georgina Chapman or whatever," and then he's like, and her kids that have welcomed me as like a whatever, and I was like, oh man, Harvey Weinstein watching this at home, like those are your kids. He's like just taking them all, watching them in prison. I mean,
I gotta love that. I'll be honest. I gotta love that.
It is kind of
We all hate Weinstein. I love the guy who threw a hot dog at his head or whatever. No, that was Cosby. I remember reading a news story. Someone threw a hot dog at Cosby's head in prison on his first day, and he called his wife, going like, "You gotta get me out of here." And I was like, I don't know. That's
I do
funny.
think he is out now. Actually, Cosby. I think he's on house arrest maybe because he's so old and infirm.
Yeah, he's teaching classes
Oh, good.
about what to do if you get accused of rape. That's
Jesus
true.
Christ. Yep.
Out there,
and
baby.
hey, and they just honored Kevin Spacey at Cannes. So, this is a really fun episode, Alex.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I brought us here too. But let's talk now. So I'm on my movie journeys. I'm always on my movie journeys. I'll like the top line from my movie journeys is that I found some of my directors that I really love, and I found even more over the past few years. And I found that the international films that I really love, and I really love Asian cinema, and specifically Japanese cinema is like my favorite. So I'm always kind of exploring in these ways. If you were looking ahead to your next movie that you might want to watch, or like Are there, directors or more movies that you've always meant to watch, or like what are movie adventures you're looking forward to going on? And it could also be new releases, but also old stuff
I'm
as well.
I'm on a movie journey right now. Me and my wife are going through the Final Destination saga. For
I know a
no,
couple people doing that right now because there's a new
yeah.
one, isn't there? Is a new one coming?
Oh yeah, the Bloodlines is out, so
Mhm.
I've never seen it. I was such a little film snob as a kid, so I missed out on all the dumb shit. I was watching the Criterion movies. I'm on the opposite journey of you. So, you're just watching a lot. I already saw most of the good ones as a teen, which is kind of funny because you don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
You see a Fellini movie where he's like, "Oh, my youth," and you're younger than what he's remembering. You don't know what he's talking about. So,
Yeah. I remember I
yeah.
rewatched like a couple years ago when I rewatched Broadcast News as an adult, and I had seen it as a
Yeah.
teenager, sort of like that, and I remember being like, this movie's just okay as a teenager.
Mhm.
And then watching it when I'm like 37 or 38, and I'm like, oh no, this is really good because it's a movie about like people in their mid 30s kind of, and it's like so geared right there.
Um, I wish there were more movies kind of about middle age,
Hmm.
especially because I'm approaching middle age. I watched that. No, I'm not. I don't want to get off on a tangent. Watching the Final Destination series right now, I like that they are like. I was going to talk about Tina Fey's Four Seasons, but I'm
Oh,
going back to Final
I
Destination.
haven't, I'm not, I don't have Netflix, so I can't watch that one.
That's good. Don't have Netflix.
Yeah,
Netflix is
I
bad.
haven't really regretted not having it, except for when there's a new season of I Think You Should Leave, and at that point I will steal
Yeah,
someone's password.
yeah, do it for a month.
Hmm.
Watch an hour, then unsubscribe. It's fine. Yeah, that's good. You're giving money, showing them you only like Tim Robinson, then you're fucking vamoosing. But yeah, Final Destination, they're like live action. Have you've seen those? I'm sure, Mr.
I
Movies.
think the only one that I've seen all the way through is two, but I love two. I love two. That's the
That's
one with
funny.
the
Yeah,
the highway crash in the beginning.
yeah. It's so far. I've seen three so far. Halfway through four, two is like the worst one actually.
Oh,
So you're in for a
really?
like, two has my favorite kill though, which is
I wonder if it's the one that
so
I always think about. Let's say it.
probably because it's so good. It's so good that I was watching Final Destination 4 and they recreated in the opening credits. But it's so like I was talking to friends and it is like it's all written and timed like a Wile E. Coyote cartoon. And this one especially where it's the jacked guy's in his kitchen, he's making food, he gets his hand caught in something, starts a fire, you think the fire is gonna kill him, anything could kill him, five things could kill him. He
Yeah.
makes it out of the fire escape, he lies, he like lands on he spills spaghetti earlier, he slips on the spaghetti, then you're like, oh shit, yeah, the spaghetti's back. The fire escape lands, the ladder slides down, it's like an inch from his eye, and you're like, oh, okay. And then something just breaks and it just goes the final half second through his head. And I was like, that's good. But that's also like that is a Wile E. Coyote gag where you like it seems like the bold like where he sets up a trap for the roadrunner like in the
Hmm.
beginning it doesn't do anything and then in the end he fucks up so bad that the trap from the beginning hits him. What's your favorite kill? Is that the
Well,
same one?
no, it's a similar one. It's the guy. I forget the exact because I haven't seen it in years. So I forget the exact context. All I know is he's like running out from a building, and then the big pane of glass falls like from high, and then he just gets fully
That's
flattened by a pane of glass. Was the one I was thinking of.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Also, big appreciation for the girl trapped in her car, and the airbag just goes off and gets her fed flying through
Hmm.
the thing. It is all Warner Brothers timing. It's all about like not just about the goriness of the kill. It is like, can we surprise you with how it
Hmm.
comes?
Right, because and
Yeah.
that's why those movies are really fun is because
Yes.
first it shows you the like worst case scenario of like everything
Yeah.
bad happening, and then it's like setting the whole rest of the time you're like looking for the bad thing to happen, and so then
Oh
it
yeah,
just
yeah,
keeps
yeah.
like surprise like twisting your expectation, really like just having fun with that when they're doing it really well.
You're good. Also, the fence flying through the kid. A plus. A.
Is that the one at the very end?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I went to bed like 20 minutes early before the movie was over because it was late. My wife finished
Mhm.
watching, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to finish watching it. Is there anything better than that kill with the fence? And she was like, not really. But I persevered. I finished watching the baby being born that stopped. The plot is always so bad in these, and
Oh
that's
yeah.
okay.
Well, that's like because it's sort of I also love the Hellraiser movies, of course. I
Yeah.
mean, those are so wonderful, and those have like the Clive Barker like mythology really thought out, and like really, I mean, even though it gets completely insane in the later sequels and everything, but like really like maybe overly defined like what's going on. And with Final Destination, it's like, yeah, Death's trying to get him. Death's trying to make him dead. Death's gonna dead him, and then somehow they have to undead Death. Hey, thank you, Mojave Express.
Yeah, but in every movie there is like, okay, we see them like in the first movie. Here is the map of all the airplane seats, and Death is going, and it's like, I don't care. You don't need this. I'm not gonna call you out on this. Don't make no sense.
Hang on. The order isn't like, because right, isn't it like the order is how it like the order they die in the memory or whatever too?
Yeah, it is, and it was like, they did this in 1 and 3. Like, I was supposed to be sitting here, but I sat over there, and so the wood is out of whack. And it's, I don't care. I'm stupid. That's why I'm watching this. You're stupid. It's okay. Show us a guy getting hit by an anvil. Like, it's fine.
Well, thinking back to your teenage intellectual days, who were some of your guys back then? Who were the guys that you really loved as a pretentious film teen?
You know what's so funny? There are certain guys you love as a pretentious film teen, and as a pretentious film adult, you're like, I don't care as much anymore. Terry Gilliam was huge. For me.
I still like a few Terry Gilliam movies, but he himself sucks, for sure.
He himself gives, like, interviews. Like, he gave some bad interview about Black Panther when he was like, yeah, they should have shown him starving and dying. And it's like, shut up, you racist little freak. What? And it sucks. It sucks when all these great artists you loved as a kid grow up and they want to shock you more than they want to shock you by being interesting. I don't know why people fall in this trap, but yeah, Brazil, everything he did was huge for me. Brazil was like a defining movie. It's so weird. I didn't have an office job I hated. I don't know. I
yeah.
So hard.
Do you like Baron Munchausen? That was always my favorite.
You know what I loved Baron Munchausen, especially I'm from the Soviet Union, where Baron Munchausen is like a going concern. It is just like, here he really is just like a weird German fable you might know if you're like a character in like a Conan O'Brien Dickensian sketch or something like that. Oh my, like, but in Russia he is just like, he has animated cartoons about him, he has like a ton of movies. I liked that movie a lot as a kid. Today, I watched it recently. A little boring. My man Gilliam's got to learn how to tell a story better.
It's a bit shaggy in parts, but the thing that I always really love about it is because I'm like a theater person as well, and I love depictions of theater in film, and I love, like, that's one of my favorite depictions of when they're doing the theater stuff and that, and that's like that sort of whatever neoclassical or whatever the time period is, the way that they would do those sort of tricks. And that's all like based in real things that they would do as well. And so I really love that. And then I just love like fantasy spilling out from reality stories. So like, that's why I've always really loved that one.
It's so beautiful. I wish he just worked with a better writer. That's a lot of movies for me. It's like, you're so good. I wish you worked with a better writer. But it's beautiful. I love the stuff. Like, but you're talking, the theater stuff you're saying is right. And that's something I feel like we lost now that like technology rules the roost. Everything that I say is like, the world's bad now.
Well, it's true. I mean, hey, we live in hell, so what are you gonna do?
We do live in a bad world, and a lot of that really does spill over to movies. But I will just talk positively, which is one thing I love is he does use practical effects to be theatrical, to show like Uma Thurman in the shell or Robin Williams, like his head floating. It all feels like tricks you would use in a theater where he like just. It would look the same if you wore like a black bodysuit and like just ran around.
Well, and the Robin Williams scene and stuff too, like that like harkens back to like even the shit. Why can't I think of his name? The old French filmmaker who made From the Earth to the Moon.
Georges Méliès.
Yeah, Méliès. That's right. Exactly, and it's so that like he almost has that sort of feeling too, and like that, that original filmmaking where all the effects are practical, but like it still looks amazing, and like as it's people doing it practically.
Even like a movie that everyone was like down on, like Robert Altman's Popeye, something like that, where you just look at the physical set he made of Sweet Haven.
Yeah, the world is so complete in that. It's crazy. It's such a community.
I wish, like, I don't know. I think computers are like the way we use them. they used to feel so wonderful, and now they feel so bad that I feel like they're gonna go away at some point. But I would love it if like movie studios are again like what's a big I'm not like if a Marvel movie was like instead of like here's a big green screen, we all know it's a green screen, like we built Asgard, we built Thanos' planet, and it
Hmm.
just looks gorgeous. I'm a complainer. That's why I like Jack and
No, but
Am.
I mean, why couldn't you have some practical, like Muppet kind of, creature type people in a Marvel or something like that? Like to your point, like like some labyrinth kind of Ludo creature type of guy.
More expensive, like
Right.
especially Marvel's style, which is, oh, the audience like didn't like this green guy. We're
Hmm.
cutting the green out completely. Easy to do with a computer, like kind of really a lot more work to do with like
And the thing
because you, yeah,
Well, the thing about it is that CG I feel like isn't inherently anti-artistic. Like that's the thing is you just like I mean you look at a movie like The Matrix, like there's computer graphics in almost every frame of that movie, but like it's so thoughtfully and artistically done and
oh yeah,
planned. And and I think that even, movies that if they have like a very like clear idea of their aesthetic, there's a Japanese movie from a few years ago, Shin Ultraman. There's Shin Godzilla, and they did Shin Kamen
ooh,
Rider, and they did Shin Ultraman. If you have not seen this, I would seek it out because what they did was they really did sort of like the '70s style, big like guy fighting big monster type of like they
yeah,
don't try to hide that aesthetic, but they still
yeah,
obviously are using computers to make it all happen. But they
yeah.
like have that kind of retro feel to what they're making, and it's really cool. And I feel like if more CG
Yeah.
was like purposeful and had a a point of view behind it, besides just yeah, fill it in with the computer, make it all look good.
That's going to be the revolution. I feel like the
Hmm.
Wachowski sisters can still like pull that out if they wanted to. I don't know what they're doing. Save us, Wachowskis. Cameron kind of got that, but I would love to see like a real like little Jim Henson like freak work with CGI. Because you're right, you only hear about CGI used as a cost-cutting measure.
Sorry,
Oh, what is that?
I made this yesterday. It's just Site 26 from the first
Oh
Avatar
yeah,
movie. I
yeah.
believe this is Avatar Sigourney Weaver on the top here, and I actually have an actual Sigourney Weaver minifig in here. I want to take her out. Let's see her.
Wow.
Uh
It's so
oh.
cool. You know what? Avatar like kind of. Speaking of the modern era, this Avatar would have been so cool in the '90s when they were like Avatar, the Saturday morning cartoon. You gotta go buy your Avatar
And
cereal.
and
There
now
she
that the
is.
cool thing is to just hate Avatar and being like nobody actually likes it, nobody knows the character's names, blah 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 blah. It's so corny and blah blah blah. And it's like yeah, it's corny. It's a fucking big like sci-fi action blockbuster. Why shouldn't the story be a little silly? Especially the first one. I think the second one's a great story too. I love the second one.
Good. I will say for me, it's like I do leave not knowing the characters, but who cares? I
Right.
don't remember any characters' name for Final Destination, Independence Day.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay for a movie. Like the thing that I don't like about that critique of Avatar is you are looking at a movie as like franchise and lore instead of
Exactly.
what a movie is, which is like 2 hours and you live in Pandora, and
Yes.
it is just kind of like I don't remember shit. I don't remember shit. It's like, well, yeah, because you don't have to buy like Jake Sully pajamas or whatever the
Hmm.
hell.
Yeah, you're on an adventure, and yeah, and that's how I feel. And yeah, it's very much James Cameron will always save us. And he like has like the movie itself needs to be complete. The movie itself needs to be a complete awesome experience. And so even though the second one, I'm excited to know more from those characters. I'm looking forward to the third one. It wasn't like they were like, we're gonna pay this off in the next movie. It's like no, the movie itself felt completely on its own. Like even you don't even need to have seen the first one. Like it sets up everything that happens in the first one well enough. So like that's the ideal.
Yeah, any big budget movie should be so dumb. You can. This is the test. I was talking about this with someone where it's just like, um, I will say Blank Check was talking about how like the ultimate celebrity is someone who wins a Kids' Choice Award and an Oscar. That is
Mm-hmm.
the ultimate celebrity, and I think the ultimate movie is the ultimate like mainstream movie. You can watch it on TNT in the middle, and you're still having a great ass time. My Cousin Vinny, Mrs. Doubtfire. I think Avatar works on that level. I'll hand it to Marvel. They definitely work on that level. I
Mm-hmm.
wish there wasn't 50 of them. I wish
Right.
there were two or three of them, but it was like they absolutely do work on that level. And Avatar is that kind of movie. Go turn your brain off. Don't worry. Their names don't matter. Their names are stupid. They're aliens who fight robots. It's great.
Yeah, I think what happened, and we can move on and actually talk about the movie in a second here, but I think that what happened with the MCU and Marvel Studios is that they got such a big pop on the Infinity War and Endgame gambit, those two things, and it just so happened that the movies all leading up to it all mostly worked so well that that it just kind of worked out to have all these characters come together, and it organically, it really worked well, better than it should have, kind of. And
Yeah,
it's
100%.
yeah, and then but ever since then they like can't give that up. Like every movie now still feels like it has to be doing that, but you can't help but be like, but I don't think they know what they're doing. So what is this? Like why at the end of Eternals does Harry Styles show up with a little gnome guy voiced by Patton Oswalt? Are we gonna see them again, really?
Troll Starbucks heroes. You won't. They won't. I mean, my favorite Marvel movie. I think everyone's gonna agree. Actually, wait. Not everyone's gonna agree. Hold on. I'm reconfiguring. Anyway, it's Blade. I love Blade. Blade is perfect, and Blade understood so well. You don't need mythology for a good superhero movie to work. You need a cool guy doing cool stuff. Who's cooler as Wesley Snipes as Blade? Probably no one. Some motherfuckers try to ice skate uphill? Great line. And it is just like, focus on the movie. Who's better than Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man? Damn few. Who's better as, like, God, I don't know. Any of the Eternals. This is great. I don't have to say any celebrity's name. I can spread the blame amongst everyone. I honestly...
I mean, I think back to also the Raimi Spider-Mans also, in terms of great Marvels. Like Spider-Man 2, I think probably my favorite. Got Doc Ock, Alfred Molina. I mean, that's a really good one.
So yeah, cast character. Tom Holland, I hope, I want to work in Hollywood. Tom Holland's fine. But I
think it's great casting for a young Spider-Man, for doing young Peter Parker. I think he really had that good vibe, especially in the early movies.
I do think he is an actor we hired because he looks like the guy. And I think going beyond that is... Oh, it's Mr. Natural. Should we be talking about the movie?
Well, I make special alerts, for the movie. And so, yeah, we got Mr. Natural for this week, Mojave Express. Yeah, I guess we should start talking about the movie because, but I could just talk how the entertainment business is broken with you all day. Hey, thanks, Will, Dub True, for the birthday wishes.
I mean, one of the reasons I'm doing the Doughboys comic is, like, I think Nick and Mitch should be mainstream comedy stars. And this is my way of going, like, this is what a Doughboys movie would kind of be like. So it is just like it's on my mind 24/7.
My feeling on it is that there is never going to be a mainstream again, possibly. There's going to be several streams, and so it's about getting the sizable stream, and there's no other way to do that besides, like, just finding your people, and just eventually, to extend the metaphor as long as I can, the various tributaries of the stream, it gets bigger, and by then it becomes a river, at some point or whatever.
Well, art's going to become a very expensive hobby, basically.
I mean, there's some of that
already.
It is always like side hustle. Yeah. Anyway, speaking of art as a commodity, and
Robert Crumb really figured out how to monetize a side hustle.
Well, and this is
what I remember.
So in this documentary, which I watched for the first time this week, this is my first time on the stream talking about a movie I hadn't seen before. So I'm very excited, and I'm excited that that's one of your favorite movies, so that you can kind of also be
for the stream. Yeah,
you can be the expert on this one. But I love the way they introduce him is within the first, I think, 5 minutes of the movie is that clip that was in the Siskel and Ebert their review that I played before the stream. That's him at the college, and he's talking about, so this is why you may know me. You may know me from these Mr. Natural, Keep on Truckin', that Grateful Dead took. Fuck those guys, I hate those guys. You may know me from Fritz the Cat, because they made movies of it. I hate those movies are the worst things ever. Fuck Fritz the Cat. Was there another one? He had another, like, countercultural image. that was
He was
big.
mad about the Janis Joplin cover.
Oh, right, the Janis Joplin cover. So like all of his art that had broken. So he really defined sort of the countercultural look in a lot of ways, because he was San Francisco, which was where Grateful Dead was, which was where all the sort of hate Ashbury Street or whatever, all the hippie sort of like epicenter. And he was making fun of that and making fun of the mainstream as well, and just putting out his weird alternative comics. And he ended up his aesthetics like defined the counterculture in a weird way.
They define not just the counterculture, this underground comics and art comics. Every evolution of comics is based around just after the comics code kind of killed so much of what was interesting. CRUMB kept going in like a way that was basically just like ungovernable, unmanageable. It was it bordered on like obscenity and pornography, and it inspired people like Art Spiegelman, who created Mouse, who inspired like Alison Bechdel, who created Fun Home.
Yep.
So yeah, so it is just you're right. He's the aesthetic of like the Haight-Ashbury hippie art scene, and then it just evolved into what an art comic is in today's day and age. He's the king.
He like imbues it with so much like point of view and like his like opinion, kind of like you really get his voice in the drawing in a real way. And a modern person that I thought of a bit watching it would be Ellie Valley, the political cartoonist who does like these really grotesque, sort of deliberately, very disgusting looking, representations of politicians and such.
Eli Valley's the greatest. Eli Valley does do a lot of what CRUMB does. He does it in a more kind of politically pointed way.
Absolutely.
And a lot of what Eli Valley, I mean, the biggest thing that Eli Valley shares with CRUMB is a purposeful breaking of the taboo. Because what Eli Valley borrows a lot from, because he's a Jewish critic of Israel, is he borrows a lot from like Nazi imagery, Nazi comics about Jews that he uses to kind of critique the Israeli state as kind of a Nazi, kind of apartheid state. And that's something like the biggest thing he shares with CRUMB is the lack of absolute fear about a squid in a cartooning thing. And
knowing it's like deliberately designed to provoke, make you like be like think about it's in bad taste and things like that. But that's part of how it gets through to you. That's how it's deliberate.
Yeah, and it's something that he also shares with Art Spiegelman, who the reason all the mice aren't mice and mouse is because Hitler would go like the Jewish rat, like all that kind of stuff. So it's all tied into just like, because CRUMB did this so well. I don't know who else was doing it in comics before him. Oh, I know who. William Gaines, EC Comics. But using just ugliness, just raw, purposeful ugliness to shock you. And in CRUMB's case, just like make his point.
Yeah, and the other really cool thing about him as a figure, of this documentary is the sense that how much he needs to create. Like that's always coming through. Like he is just always needing to draw and get it out, and it's like he comes from like he's sort of learning. And this movie becomes about his family as well, and learning about where he came from and his brothers and his mom, and but like he learned from his brother basically of like just make your own comic, just make it yourself, just like fully do it yourself. And like that was very much the scene of that San Francisco alternative comics, of people just self-publishing all kinds of their own, and anything goes, like you're saying.
Yeah, I loved it. I'm reading the CRUMB biography right now by Dan Nadel, and which is excellent. If you like this documentary, feel free to read the book. It also opens up to so much more of his family that wasn't in the movie that I did not know.
Because his sisters did not want to participate in the documentary, I saw.
No, they didn't. His sisters are much more normal.
That's what I got the impression is why they didn't want to.
One of his sisters was... It's so funny how people used to talk about homosexuality, where Robert Crumb was always going like, because he's, I don't know, clearly sexist. He was going like...
You think he's a little bit sexist? I mean, I will say about this movie that like we talked a little bit last week with Justin about what I like to call black diamond film going of like the difficult like trips, like I said, like Enter the Void by Gaspar Noé, or Todd Solondz' Happiness. These movies that, like, you need to prepare yourself for a little bit. Like, you can't just, like, go in too lightly. And I don't know if this movie's fully in that realm, but you do have to be prepared that there's a lot of depictions of misogyny and sexism and racism and some really, really dark stuff, sexual stuff with his brother specifically, especially.
Well, yeah, he's a pedophile.
Yes, his one brother's absolutely a pedophile, and the other one's absolutely, like, openly admits and talks about committing sexual assault on the, like, streets. So I shouldn't laugh about that.
I mean, it's just shocking because they're like sitting there and goofily laughing about it.
And Robert Crumb's only response, anytime, it doesn't matter how dark, like, whatever they're talking about is he's just like,
he's heard it all before. Mm-hmm. He knows everything. He's known it all before. There are like letters from when he was a teenager to Marty Pauls, who's not talked about in this movie, but he's the comics fan who kind of pulled Crumb out of his family situation by giving him an outlet, giving him a place to live, and giving him someone who's not in his family to talk to. Who he wrote him a letter going like, oh my God, like I think Max is going to end up in jail, and I think Charles Crumb is going to kill himself. And this is like at 17 years old, long before either things happen. By the way, I don't know if Max Crumb went to jail yet. The book hints that he will. But he was committing sexual assault on the bus, and he was like, I'm a bad little boy. That was his energy.
Well, but you get it all seems to stem from the parents. I mean, it seems like their mother was a drug addict, as Charles tells it, and their father hated them and was just completely absent and then left, or what did he die? And then he died young?
He did. I'm going to give you some facts from the book.
Okay.
That he's revealing now that he's old. His mother had a child at 13 with her 14-year-old stepbrother. And and Charles was gay. He was a pedophile.
Well, yeah, he openly admitted that he never acted on any urges, but that he did have, like, he claims he never acted on any urges. Let's hope that's true.
He invited like little kids to his house to play with him, and then the parents are like, "What the fuck is happening?" And then that stopped. It's all dark. Charles is
so. Sometimes it's like maybe it's good he didn't leave his mother's home for 30 years. Maybe maybe that's okay.
I'm glad he didn't act on it. It's all rough. Mm-hmm. It's all sad.
But it's real. Like, that's what, like, people are complicated and fucked up, and they just have to work this stuff out. Like, they just have to get it. And, like, that's what's so interesting to me was the way that they were all drawn to art, all of them, that they all were making comics. And Charles's comics are really interesting and cool. Yeah. And then when he starts really starting to lose it, and you start to see that reflected in the art, like how he does like the little rings, like within the people.
Yeah, like the rings, the lines. I think what's so weird, he quit so young, but he was so mentally ill, because everyone does go like, oh, what does Charles Crumb's art look like when he's older? And the answer is
he doesn't really do any.
Maybe this is it. Maybe this is what was it. Maybe modern healthcare could have helped him, but maybe not. Like there was like a family with a lot of abuse. Robert Crumb's father, he broke his collarbone when he was 5 years old. It is just all very violent. It is all very kind of it's a painful household, and the comic it makes me cry. The movie makes me cry because it is just about 3 people. Probably more, but we don't get to talk to my Discord's going off, huh? 5 people who all kind of, had awful lives, like even the mother. But Robert Crumb is the only one who figured out how to channel all the kind of demons in his head onto the paper. And the movie ends with him moving to France with his wife. He's in an open relationship. He kind of has his dream version of a life. He loves his daughter.
Because his wife is just like him too in so many ways.
She's a brilliant.
She's totally accepting of him and everything that goes with him, because as you can imagine, with his upbringing and sort of his role model growing up and things like that, he's a bit cracked in his own. Though I would say probably the degree to which he puts it all on art is the reason that he actually produces this work, and he just has to get it out, I mean, you can make the case that maybe that's why he is, like you say, in a better place, actually has his life like idealized, almost like what he would want.
It ends with him moving to France, and that's intercut with.
And that's where he lives to this day.
Yeah, he does. He's too old to visit America. Crumb's he's in his autumn years.
Well, and also, I don't think he would want to. I mean, Jesus, that's what's so funny to me is him being like, I need to get out of here. It's too vulgar, and just like knowing like what's happened since.
Baby.
Why would he ever come back? Oh, good God. And it's like 1992 or whatever that he's moving.
Yeah.
He was too upset about the whatever, the Bill Clinton DLC, like he's like, the Democrats are going moderate right wing. I'm out of here. You know what? He was right.
gotta love those hippie cartoonists. They were all like, some of them were libertarian, but they were all pretty socialist. Crumb would do comics about how much he loved like Chairman Mao, stuff like that. Yeah, he knew when to get out. I don't want to see an ICE agent reading Mr. Natural. But then
be tough to explain.
What?
I said be tough to explain some of that.
Yeah, but then they'd read some of his other comics and he gets let in immediately. They read all his blackface stuff. Like,
I know, yeah, the stuff that's all racial caricatures, which is, I think, another one of like sort of the most some of the most uncomfortable imagery that you see that Robert Crumb has made. But also, I mean, you get where he's coming from with it, and I think it's just watching from the 2025 mindset of like, it's not for him to do that. But like, again, this was stuff that he made in 1968 or something. So
here's the thing: that stuff always kind of sat a little weird with me. Because I couldn't explain it, and everyone's like, it's sad. And the first time I read about it was a black comics professional kind of defending the work, and I'm like, okay. But the more I see it, it's like I don't understand it. In the Crumb biography, they explain it the best I could have ever seen it explained in a way that defends it, which is sort of like that was the 50s was everyone was really racist, and by the 60s people were aware that racism existed. So what do we do with that? So Robert Crumb drawing that is kind of like when South Park or even Family Guy would like show a racist joke. And it's funny because nowadays people are like, oh, I can't believe they made it. But I was like a teenager back then, and I remember those jokes were viewed as anti-racist because it was like a mockery of that point of view.
Because you're saying what you're not supposed to say, and it's like, oh my God, how could we ever say this? And that was also like a big thing. I remember this totally as well from the 2000s, even through to the early 2010s, is that was the return of ironic blackface as well. You had like the Sarah Silverman program, and I remember the Stella TV show had a blackface joke, and 30 Rock has a few of them. Yeah. So, and it's like, it's all from that same kind of impulse. And it's like, they're doing it to show like, well, obviously this is completely racist and awful, but like, you're like, okay, but why? Why are you doing it?
Well, it's like those jokes. I'm not going to say whether they're okay or not okay, and I'm leaning more towards not okay, if I'm being honest. There's a part of me that always wants to defend the artist, but when you actually see the blackface, you're like, I don't want to defend that. But there is like a whole thing. It's like in a liberal society, these things, you're showing like a dinosaur. You know what I mean? And in the Trump era, you're like, oh, my little liberal lived in LA and Boston, Jewish little self thought all that shit was very dead, and it turns out that shit never died.
Yeah, I think now it does make it hard. Hey, thank you, Jakey Chains, for the birthday wishes. I mean, I would go one by one through the 30 Rock examples, and some I would defend and some I would not. Like, there are some where I'm like, it's okay. This one is okay. This one's not. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm always... Look, don't do it. Don't do it. You can do it. You can do it.
Not worth it. It's not really worth it.
But if you really want to do it, if you really want to defend it, the first thing you got to do is get way more black creatives into the field.
Right.
Langston Kerman is writing for the Mulaney Show. I brought this show up so much. I think it's the best thing politically happening right now. He's writing bits that like a white person couldn't write, like the Yakuba bit, the Nation of Islam bit, and it's just like all the talk about like white people going like, this comedy, it's gonna comment on racism. If you really want to stop racism, use your power to hire like more black voices. and that's how you really combat it. And there's no like, and that way, by the way, you don't have to defend dog shit jokes 10, 20 years later. And if you really, yeah.
One of my favorite Spike Lee movies is Bamboozled. Have you seen that one?
I haven't.
Oh, you gotta see that.
One day in, day out.
Bamboozled is really good. It's a satire, and it's like, and it's so. I love Spike Lee, but he's so corny, you know, like it's in his way. He's Spike Lee corny.
He's one of those artists who should not be on social media. There's a lot of them like that.
I
but
mean,
I respect so much and every.
Right, he does enough good stuff that I can forgive a lot of the corniness. But even his best movies have corniness. Even Malcolm X has a lot of corniness in the credits specifically. I won't get into it. But Bamboozled, like I think it literally starts with satire is defined as.
Pretty bad.
But the movie's funny. It's really good, and it stars Damon Wayans, and he is doing such an exaggerated like character, like sketch character almost that I really love his performance actually.
I love Damon Wayans. I wish he was allowed to. I wish they kept making comedies. That's what everything.
Well, they are.
To.
Aren't they doing another scary movie? And it's all the Wayans are back for it this time, and they're.
So. What other genre does he want to parody? Come on.
Well, Damon is pretty quiet. His son does a lot more work than he does. Damon Wayans Jr. Now we see him all the time.
His son's a sitcom star, baby.
That's right.
Yeah. Spike Lee. What's I think funny about Spike Lee is I remember he critiqued Oppenheimer by going like, "Oh, why don't you show the Japanese side of it? Why don't you show the and then it's like, well, I mean, the whole point is you don't see it, and you know the view." And then I thought about how like Black Klansman ended with like a vision of Charleston, and it's like, oh, this guy doesn't like subtlety.
Yeah, no, that's completely it. Yeah,
he wants you to see every point as clearly as possible, which is. It can be good, not always, but it really works for some of his better movies.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, like Do the Right Thing is not subtle either, and it's it's one of the most brilliant films ever. And yeah, no, he is not subtle. And I also had a lot of problems with Black Klansman because to me that movie was a little too pro cop. Honestly, I didn't like how he worked in 1970s in the Colorado Police Department or whatever federal FBI office or whatever it was, and there is one racist guy. There's one racist cop, and he's busting the Klan. And the thing is, he should be seeing the other cops at the Klan meeting if this is real. Like that was the thing that bothered me. It came across as too pro cop, that movie.
You know, you're probably right. You know what I love about that movie? And it's the one part where like Spike Lee's bluntness is like I'm like fucking shocked. Oh God, never mind.
No, I want to know.
Oh God. I do love that movie a lot. I also love anytime Adam Driver plays a Jewish guy.
Yeah.
Because I'm a Jewish guy too, but he's not Jewish, he's Greek. They're fucking insulting.
Well, but that's schnoz, right? That's what it is.
Nose, black hair, but he don't got the height. He's not short enough. That movie, I'll be honest, I don't remember shit from it, but I like that.
I mean, I did like Adam Driver in it a lot, and I think I really did like some of the like sequences when he was showing the Klan and stuff like that. I thought were like really effective and ugly.
I like that he edited me out of the Charleston scenes. I thought that was very nice.
Just cut
Thank you, Spike. You got a career to think about.
Thank you. You could see just the tiki torch, but you didn't see you didn't see me holding it. It's okay.
You can see my Scrooge McDuck gloves or whatever. You can see the back of my Mr. Natural onesie as I'm going through Charleston.
Sorry, those are actually I realize now those are my Discord notifications because people are replying. I should have muted those. It's my fault that you're hearing.
Well, I think it's both. I don't know. Whatever. I got them too. Yeah.
So back to CRUMB.
I love CRUMB.
I mean, it is a really cool movie. I mean, it really does become about his relationship to his family, and I do get the sense that the one that he is closest to and loves the most is Charles. Like that is the one that like he really comes alive with in a real way. And just watching them kind of sit together and like I don't know, it just feels like they like are always like simpatico or something.
They're great. They're the same kind of weird guy.
Well,
when you read
there's one notable exception.
it's a very notable exception. Yes. What a pain! What an awful thing to have.
Yeah.
You know, that
Yeah,
kind of
I mean,
fucking yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he was a very, very sick guy for sure. I mean, there was a lot of like really sick trauma, and then what he was making was so grotesque that it was meant to be funny. Like usually, it's so extreme and over the top. And I mean, I did really enjoy Terry Zwigoff, the director's choice to include a lot of the critique, and it is not like, and it's well presented critique, and it is like, so it's not, oh, these scolds or something. It's like, no, these people are reasonable with what they think is kind of gross about this stuff, but it's also, you know, and like it gives the opportunity for CRUMB to sort of respond to that critique, and he doesn't have any good response beyond like, well, I just need to do it. I don't know, right?
No, the person. First of all, Trina Robbins, who's the woman who kind of critiques Trump the hardest. She's an amazing underground cartoonist in her own right.
Right.
She started. Have it on the shelf somewhere. Why am I doing this? She started women's comics.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, which is kind of like the feminist reply to kind of all the misogynistic underground comics that Robert Crumb and his ilk was doing. She's the one giving the biggest critique. The person who looks the clownish, the stupidest, seems to be the art critic who likes Crumb the most.
Yeah.
Because
notably, I just want to say one thing about this guy for people that maybe haven't seen the movie. He is British, which just tells you everything. That alone. No offense to my British friends and viewers, but...
Well, no, he's like, Crumb is the modern Bruegel. And what's weird is I'm still not sure who Bruegel is, but it is just kind of like, you hear it and you go like, all right, he's a dumbass who draws like cartoon ducks fucking.
He's a guy who gets so horny he needs to draw like a giant woman giving him a piggyback ride, and he's a little tiny guy. Like, that's what he's drawing.
He drew that so well and so much, he became famous for it. He became so famous for it, everyone wanted to see a documentary about him. That's who Robert Crumb is. Like, the people who like, and it's like, Crumb, your comments are misogynist. Like, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
By the way, what a refreshing take from today. Like, today's artists who draw weird work. And by the way, like, I like a good weird work, but the way I fall off is like, oh, we can't say anything anymore. And I'm like, okay, I'm backing away.
Yeah, I always like... I mean, I'm honestly not even like the hugest fan of his comedy, but I always find videos of Anthony Jeselnik responding to that, or like Bill Burr, and they're like, you can talk about whatever, it's just going to be harder on some, if you want to go in these certain, as it should be. Like, you want to be more taboo, that has a greater degree of difficulty. So if you want to go there, you have to have a good reason for it. You know, it's going to upset some people in your audience, so make it worth it for them to find a way to laugh about it, at least, you know? Like, it seems basic, but somehow even just saying that is woke or whatever.
It's so... My friend talks about, it's like, they're not talking about you can't say anything anymore. They want freedom from bombing.
Right.
It is just like... Yeah, you know, if you play with dangerous topics, you're less likely to get a laugh.
Yeah,
because it's harder.
When Elon Musk says legalize comedy, he means everybody is required to laugh at my horrible jokes, or else they are like woke or something.
And his jokes suck.
They're the worst.
By the way, it's so funny because like Jeselnik and Bill Burr are good, and a lot of the comedians they respond to. And they probably have their fans, so won't say any names or anything like that. A lot of them are bad.
Right.
And I used to do stand-up, and the whole mantra of the good ones was like, I don't agree with this, but it was like, oh, you got to win over every room. You got to win over any room. It was like the comedian should have a magic skill to make everyone laugh. So when you hear people as veteran-y, and by the way, Seinfeld turned around as Seinfeld.
I did see Seinfeld renounce his previous... cancel culture critique. I did see him do that.
I mean, there's a great book, Outrageous, by Kilf Nestoroff, which is about, like, comedians and outrage, and both outrage and actual outrage, which is, like, Seinfeld's bit about the king, the gay king.
The gay French prince or whatever, yeah.
way, you know what's funny? You don't even need the word gay in that joke. That's what everyone is.
If you had said foppish aristocrat or something, or it had been like some queenie little man, like if it had been more specific, yeah, and you'd said queenie, which is technically maybe more offensive, but like more specific, you know?
An inbred English prince.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know. But the thing is, the Heritage Foundation glommed onto. I was like, oh, college kids are split about this. They're split about because and they so perfectly dove into that divide, and now we have a ton of right-wing comedians who, if they're not funded by the Heritage Foundation, are certainly talking like they are.
Right. Or they're going after the audience because they see that that's like the ascendant one. No, I think it's all going to sort of backfire on them. We'll see. Well, hopefully. We can only hope. But yeah.
Is this a podcast, by the way? Do you release this as a podcast?
So, I mean, it sort of is. I put it up on YouTube afterwards. So I don't put it on, like, it's not, at least not yet, not available on, like, Spotify or Apple Podcasts. But it's on YouTube, all the other episodes.
Oh.
And they're all very good as well, including this one. I think this has been great. Not that we need to wrap it up right now, but, I mean, you know.
Culture more than CRUMB, but that's okay.
Well, but no, but you know, I feel like CRUMB has kind of tied into sort of what we're talking about because, this is somebody like, you know, when you talk about bad taste and you talk about outside the mainstream, like that's like there was an avenue for success through that, and now both because there isn't necessarily a discernible mainstream, or what there is like, and you know. Whatever you can call mainstream is so vanishingly small all the time now that there's more avenues than ever to put yourself out there. You know, it's impossible to stand out, and in some ways they like take the wrong lesson. Like one of the only ways to get attention is through the really bad taste trolling or whatever, which is different than what he was doing because his was really personal to him. And even if it was gross at times and misogynistic and racist and things like that, you got the sense that it was reflecting him and maybe an ugly side of him, but that's still honest and personal at least.
I mean, the funny thing about his black characters is it is just like kind of spewing out a white guy. His grandparents were really, really racist.
I'm sure.
And his family lived in a black neighborhood, and his grandmother was like furious about that. So you do get the sense of like that stuff, that it is someone spewing out his like demons. He was anti-vax during the pandemic. His wife, the great Eileen Kaminsky CRUMB, rest in peace. She died 2 years ago. She got every jab. They're both big liberals, but he was terrified of the vaccine. They did a comic together about how terrified he is of the vaccine and why. And then it was like like he's looking all starving and ugly, and his wife was just like playing the fiddle, doing exercise. Like, I love the vaccine. I feel great. And it is like his point. And it's so at the time. The internet likes outrage, and they like bad comics. They can get mad at more than good comics, which is my biggest annoyance with like a lot of comics discourse. But they got mad at CRUMB for like being anti-vax, but I was like, I think it's good he says that, and I think it's good he can annoy me like all these years later.
And it's good that he's married to someone that is pro-vax, and he can just kind of talk about why he feels that way or whatever, and she disagrees with him, and then like they put it out together, like, and he doesn't try to go like, you know, Eric Clapton and Van Morrison like release a song about like we're under attack or something. It's like he just says, this is, you know, I'm less upset by somebody that has vaccine hesitancy that's earnest to them and they're talking about it or whatever, like, as opposed to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. or whatever that, like, is knowingly lying. And I think that that's the other thing, is that, like, so much of that outrage farming now is, if not outwardly dishonest, like, amoral at least, because it's people just looking for the views, the clicks or whatever, and they know that like this formula will get them there, and they're not even necessarily thinking about how much does this earnestly reflect me all the time.
No, I mean, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is, I don't know, one of the worst human beings that I think I've ever seen. Is he was a guy who fucking eats. He was open that he ate I think it's because he ate a corpse, but a worm got into his brain. I don't want to hear anything else from him. Careers used to end on hypocrisy, and he might be one of the unhealthiest fucking people I've seen in my life.
Yeah, it used to be that, several years ago, if you had told somebody, 10 years ago, the idea of a Secretary of Health and Human Services who was a heroin addict for over 10 years, like, I don't know.
Whoa, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that because I'm like liberal and I'm like everyone can recover. But you are right that like back in the day, that would have been it. Like Bill Clinton almost.
Yeah, he didn't
yes,
inhale. Right.
Smoked weed badly. Good on him. What a weird thing to say. Hey, I smoked weed, but I didn't even do it in an enjoyable, normal way.
Yeah, it does remind me of one of my favorite stories from college. Was there was we were at a party and there was this one guy who was like so like pining for this girl that we all knew he had no chance with, and then he like was, I don't know, drunk and got really upset and about this situation, and he barged into this room where people were smoking from a bong, and he said, hang on, he just like grabs it out of somebody's hands, the bong, and then he lights it. He doesn't know how to actually do the bong. He doesn't pull the out of the chamber, like, or anything. He just lights it and then goes, oh, nothing comes out. And he goes, thanks, I needed that.
Jesus, that's a lot of knowledge.
Yeah.
This is the people getting. I'll tell you, this was me as I would drink like Mike's Hard Lemonade and going like, I'm about to get real fucked up. All just embarrassing, stupid. Being young is embarrassing and stupid. And now that you've told your story, I believe Bill Clinton didn't inhale. I don't believe he didn't do all the drugs he wanted in his little life, but I believe that once he didn't inhale.
I don't see how you would do it with a joint in the same way, but whatever.
Whatever. He's done worse.
Yes, for sure. That is one who has done worse.
Yep, the world's horniest man.
Yeah. I mean, he and CRUMB might have some things in common in some ways.
Oh, I'm sure they do. That's a different... whatever. Fucking Bill Clinton. I like that, like... When we... I don't want... whatever. When we talk about, like, who killed Epstein, I think it's like... People like, oh, was it like this guy and this guy? And Bill Clinton always like reaches the top of the list, like, well, he was monumentally horny. Like, there's no evidence. We just know he's a monumentally horny man. So logic states.
I mean, he was really close to the guy. So people are, and yet there he is at the convention, and we still love him. We still love him.
All I'm gonna say is this: Kash Patel always seems to claim Epstein killed himself. A conspiracy theory goes out there and says Epstein killed himself, and he works for one of his big clients.
Yeah, no, they are in trouble with some of the MAGA influencers now too, because they've said that. They've said
he's in every. By the way, also because Trump is president. Hey, Mr. President, I think it was Bill Clinton, buddy. I think Bill Clinton. Hey, man, you know me, MAGA all the way, baby. Don't beat me up.
I don't believe that you could pull it off. In all honesty, Donald. So I think the prison execution, like that sort of level of covert. If the Clintons have a kill list, that does seem more.
3 other Jewish guys on his way to Epstein because he can't remember the name.
Well,
God.
Alex, I think we're winding down here, maybe, because unless we have anything else we want to say. Oh, I did want to mention, because actually one of the really just sweet things in the movie is how much he loves his daughter, and she is now a very accomplished cartoonist in her own right. And it's again another really interesting aspect of the movie is just like how like heritable or whatever that like genetic the drawing is, or like how it just gets passed between the family, like that is really and in the movie she's drawing and he's like helping her draw and stuff, and it's a really sweet moment.
It is beautiful, and his son draws too,
right?
But he doesn't draw in a way.
His son also passed away, actually.
He did in a motorcycle accident. Yeah. The thing that like was crazy to me about seeing his son, talking about genetics, is I've heard CRUMB talk so much. He is one of my biggest influences as an artist. But when you see his son in the movie, like he looks like a cool modern biker guy.
I genuinely thought it was like an apprentice or something. Like I did not think that he could even be related to CRUMB. It was like, this is like a college guy that's like a neighbor that like he's helping or something.
Dana CRUMB had stronger DNA, but it was the voice was the same. That's what fucked me up. He's like, oh, like I can't do it, but it is like that kind of weird.
It's like that, that weird, yeah.
The weird voice he does.
But I think that like CRUMB is a lesson in just embracing the things about yourself in the world that you don't understand in a kind of way, and just like putting it all out there, like kind of like wrestling with yourself in your art as much as you can, and like, and how that's like the really good artists are the ones that kind of need to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is, we do live in an era where, because we have an audience 24/7, you do see people kind of becoming like Jimmy Fallon's in their like kind of private life, slightly public life,
or James Corden's, or like these
people pleasers. One cool thing about Robert Crumb that I always loved is he had exactly one mainstream project in his life, which is he adapted the first book of Genesis for Pantheon in like 2004. But since then, his work is so hard to find. Fantagraphics releases those like complete CRUMB collections. They stopped at 94 because he asked them to. But like, to read his work, you gotta still find the weirdest zines released by the weirdest people. He publishes in a little zine called Mineshaft. I think he wrote about his opinions on death in the new issue that just came out. But it is just like, I really respect that a dude made it that big, and he did so in a way that never ever betrayed like his view of what art could be. He never, selling out is a 90s term. SNL asked him to asked us
to do him like the title cards and stuff like that, I think, maybe, or something.
He did?
Well, no, he mentioned something in the documentary about how SNL had called him to do stuff, and I think that, so I assumed it would have been early years SNL even.
I'll tell you what it was. It was early years SNL. They wanted his band to play.
Oh.
They wanted his blues band to be the musical guest. SNL still did like weird shit when Lorne Michaels was like in his 20s.
Oh yeah. Those early years are strange. But
they're
I mean, as dramatized in the film Saturday Night from last year.
A good sign when all the people your movies is based on hate it. The Lonely Island was dumping on it. Chevy Chase. Well, Chevy Chase is a dick, but he hated it too. So
well, that was actually my favorite scene in the movie. Did you see Saturday Night by chance? Did you hate watch it or see it?
If I see it, it will be for a podcast where I dump on it. I haven't seen it.
It's fine. It's watchable. I mean, like, it isn't good. The worst thing about it is like what you think, and it's lionizing Lorne Michaels as some unique comedic genius or something the entire time, and it's really hard. That part sucks.
He's a great producer, but everything that I read about him makes him look like a big asshole. I will say, like, he's kept sketch comedy alive kind of single-handedly. I'll always hand it to him, but I wish he did a better, more interesting job of it. I wish he kind of chose more interesting performers, seated his reign. I wish he didn't have Trump host. He's a complicated figure. I'll never be on SNL. Seems like a big piece of shit. And if I will be on SNL, Lorne, baby, you're killing it.
There's a scene in it anyway where Tracy Letts plays one of the writers, and the actor that plays Chevy Chase is like, "Oh, what do you think's gonna happen?" And he's like, "Well, here's what's gonna happen. You're gonna be the big breakout star of this, and then you're gonna have a lot of big movie career, and then everybody's gonna hate you because you're a fucking asshole." And it's like he basically like tells him what his whole career is gonna be, and I was like, this scene kind of kicks ass.
That is funny. One of my favorite, I like when the writers are mean to the actors. This is a really mean one. This is a funny story, but it's a really mean to a guy who, frankly, is sorely missed. But Chris Farley interrupted a writing session just by, he came in and he just started farting, and everyone was laughing, and Jim Downey got super mad. He's like, all these people, they're going to go on. They're going to have great careers, and you're still going to be here farting away. And I always was like, that's in like the New York article that almost took down the show, but it was like, that's so mean and harsh towards a guy.
That was when they did the like hard reset in the mid 90s, and they fired Chris Farley and Adam Sandler and all the people that were actually popular on the show at the time, and they all went and had great Chris Farley didn't go so well.
Charlie did have a great career. I mean,
He would have.
sorely missed.
Yeah.
He would have been a star. David Mamet kept trying to work with him.
I mean, well, it's like goes all. I
yeah.
mean, it goes all the way back to like they always say Belushi would have been like a Olivier level actor if he could have kept going. Like he would have won an Oscar. He would have been like he would have had dramatic acting. I mean, he was extremely talented and also an asshole. But I mean,
we need. I don't know. I wish the old guard had more sway. I wish Adam McKay wanted to do a comedy movie. I wish Will Ferrell wanted to do something.
Well,
they
you know about they're still broken up, right? McKay
yep,
and Ferrell.
they're broken up.
Over a really bad HBO series that nobody even likes that much.
I bet it was brewing long before that. You don't
Probably.
break over like.
I guess that's shitty. Right.
I mean, Adam McKay, I hate his movies now. Went from being my favorite filmmaker to being just
like
he's.
I remember like the other guys, and then when the credits on the other guys, I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like I like that he put this in the movie. This is cool that he has like this whole PowerPoint presentation about how the rich are stealing everything from the poor or whatever. Yeah. And then his movies just became that.
He became Aaron Sorkin. He became like he goes on, which is fine. Like he loves Jack AM. He is. Those movies stink. I don't know. I got nothing. I hate watching them and his politics and point of view. He's not okay. Here it is. He's not a good enough satirist to do what he does. He's not the Onion. He's gonna hit you over the head with the point. He's gonna cast the biggest actors in the world to make his point, which sort of defeats your purpose if you hire 1%ers to talk about how the 1% is fucking you over. If you have like DiCaprio, a guy with an actual private jet, in your global warming movie, which sucks.
And it's like Netflix, which is, you know, itself like just creating all this empty content and everything. And yeah. I mean, but I totally agree with you. Like, even if I am 100% with him on his politics and I agree with everything that he thinks and is saying in the movie or whatever, it's like, I'd rather you made Step Brothers 2, like, honestly, like any day of the week. 100%. I mean, that's one of the finest comedy films ever made, I think.
Absolutely. And by the way, I do think ever made in the entire history of cinema.
It
Brothers is up there.
Said something about the culture and the society, especially at the time, and it like has the George W. Bush quote at the beginning that's really funny and stupid. But like it says like something about arrested like these like generation of guys, the like loser guys or something. It doesn't try to make like a bigger sociological point, but it like that's where it mines the humor from, kind of. Like that's the whole thing with like them falling in love with this therapist and like that whole like joke, like running joke at the end is it's like these are fucked up guys, but like we kind of love these guys. I don't know.
You don't have to be Stan Kelly, like the Onion cartoonist, to make a point. You don't have to have a big yes, sickos, angry husbands, or whatever. Like my favorite satire right now that hopefully will never end is Always Sunny, and it's not like there's a ton of options, but it is just like comedy is a man in trouble. Show your man in trouble in the thing that you think is.
Although trouble. I will say, and I love Always Sunny too. That's one of the great running comedies. But McElhenney's sus. He wants to Ryan Reynolds. I mean, he's right there with Ryan Reynolds. They have their soccer team or whatever. Like, he's kind of sus. I trust his wife. She's got, like, she's always out doing her own thing, and she's, like, on Hacks and stuff, and she's doing really cool, like Caitlin Olsen. But McElhenney's sus to me. I don't trust him.
I'll defend Matt. I'll defend Mac. I'll defend Rob McElhenney. I like Mythic Quest. I'll defend all the... Look.
I watched the first couple seasons of Mythic Quest, and I did like it.
If one of the Always Sunny guys like commits a murder, I will say he's innocent.
Especially if it's Charlie.
If Charlie like committed like an OJ level murder and all the evidence pointed to him, I would be like, I hope Charlie finds the killer. There could be video of him like, wow, that's such a good Charlie costume. Wonder who's in it.
Yeah, damn, they really studied him. They got his mannerisms to frame him. This is an elaborate frame job.
I'm ride or die for a few people. Luckily, none of those... No, one of those people tested me, and they turned out die. They were too gruesome. I won't say who. It's fine.
You know, like the thing with Always Sunny to me is here. Oh, you got a thumbs up on your Discord.
Wait, was that me?
Yeah, I guess when you do that, it gives a little I mean, it like gives a thumbs up sometimes. I mean, I guess there's a cooldown on it, so it's not doing it now. But When Danny DeVito joined, on the second season, like that's to me the one of the great like seals of approval that there have ever been is this him just like finding out the show and being like, I want to be on it, and they were like, can you guess? And he's like, no, I want to be on it all the time.
I have a theory that there are certain actors where they've never been in a bad movie because every movie is good if they're in it. And Danny DeVito is the reason I thought of that. I watched a bunch of movies where he played a little guy with a John Waters mustache who had like a big con, and I was going like, I'll watch the worst movie in the world. If Danny DeVito has a minute in it, it's not a bad movie anymore. It's a good movie now.
Early in my 500, I was watching a lot of like mid movies starring Danny DeVito. I watched Drowning Mona, which is not good. And I watched Other People's Money, which is a movie based on a play, and it's one of those like, oh yeah, this is based on a play when you're watching it, because it's like, and it has Gregory Peck in one of his late performances as well. And that I like that one a little bit more, and that one was also directed by Norman Jewison, who is a director I really like because he has a very cool, varied filmography where he directed Moonstruck and he directed, Jesus Christ Superstar and Fiddler on the Roof. Like, he's a cool guy.
Yep, those are the three big ones. Norman Jewison is great. Norman Jewison is wonderful. I mean, Fiddler on the Roof is just such an important movie to watch with your Jewish family. That Norman Jewison
I only watched it for the first time like 4 years ago or so. I didn't watch it until adulthood, like actually see it through, and it's also just gorgeous, like the way that it shoots the Russian countryside and everything, like in the town. I mean, it's like, it's beautiful. It's really, yeah.
I mean, it's like 70s filmmaking in general. Like, are you Jewish out of curiosity?
I have a Jewish ancestry. My dad's mom was Jewish, so I have.
That counts. It was the thing.
I will say, I'll tell you, my first joke I ever wrote was when I was 11 or so, and I would say, I would tell people, I'm a quarter Jewish, and that means I can celebrate 2 days of Hanukkah.
Hey, oh God, I thought of a Jew joke that I'm not going to say on the street. Let's just say I heard quarter and Jewish. And
See, I'm not Jewish enough to make that joke, but you could.
Enough to get away with it and then feel bad. There was a Jack AM where I was doing Jew jokes, and then I'm like, what are you doing? Most of these people aren't Jewish. And I was like, I feel bad now. No, but Fiddler on the Roof, one thing that I like is like the musical. It is like it's a 60s Broadway musical, so it's a little bit goofy. You got Zero Mostel, one of my favorite actors, but
it's actually that's hard. Zero Mostel. I hate to correct you, Alex, but Zero Mostel was the original Tevye in the Broadway cast.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay,
in the Broadway one, but then you recast it with
Topol. Yeah.
More realistic. The sets were realistic. Like, the thing is, if you took out the songs, it could still be a pretty. I don't think it would be as good, but it would be like a very realistic movie about like pogroms in Russia in the 1900s. Same thing with Jesus Christ Superstar. Like all the performances, all the costumes. I also love how that begins and ends with the hippie bus. He really killed it. Jesus Christ is the first hippie.
So, and here's the funny thing about the Jesus Christ Superstar movie is I actually did see the Mr. Show Jeepers Creepers Semi-Star sketch before seeing Jesus Christ Superstar. Which was always one of my favorite Mr. Show episodes, and I loved Jeepers Creepers. So, I mean, when I finally watched the movie, it is awesome. Like, that is such a good movie, the Jesus Christ Superstar, and Carl Anderson, who plays Judas, is phenomenal. I mean, it's great. Sorry, were you gonna say something else?
Oh, no, nothing. Do I let you go at some point? I just want to make sure you're not missing your birthday.
No, I keep trying to wrap it up, but then I keep wanting to talk more to you, Alex. I'm really sorry. We will wrap it up now, but we just started talking about musicals, so I'm like, wait, I'm getting my second win. I could go for another 30 minutes.
Make the podcast. I'm telling you, you got a good viewpoint of movies. I like your story where you saw 560 movies in a year.
Yeah.
This is great. Yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you so much for joining and for enlightening me to CRUMB and inspiring me to watch this really cool documentary. I do recommend people watch it. Just be prepared for some dark shit, but also, and it is a cool movie that, like, I think why Siskel and Ebert loved it so much is that it has all of the sort of family drama stuff in there, but it's not pushing that forward. That's like all you pick up on it as you're watching it, but like it's not like they are stopping the movie to talk about this is our family drama kind of thing. It's like these details get revealed, and it just enlightens you more and more.
It's about how, being weird in a productive way can save your life. Or if you keep that all bottled up, maybe you kill yourself.
Well, yeah, which is the thing that the postscript of the movie is Charles kills himself soon after they film this. So,
well, what a great birthday end. For the birthday episode.
Well, thank you everybody for being here on my birthday. Thank you, Alex, for being here as well. Do you have so besides the Doughboys, is there anything else you would like to plug?
I'm gonna plug how to buy the Doughboys thing because it's the biggest, most important thing I got. Go to brkids.com.
I've already placed my order.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I'm in the middle of writing it right now. I'm very, very, very proud of it.
I am so. I mean, just the little bits in the little preview video and stuff. I am so excited for everything around it, and I think it's going to be a great marriage of subject and art.
I mean, Weiger and Mitch did so much on this book. They don't want writing credit, but they punched up like the entire thing. There is not a. At one point, Weiger was like rewriting panel layout on like a finished thing to make it like funnier. Like so much of this is they're very generous men. They're very kind. They're offering us all the credit in the world, which is an oversight credit, which I guess is accurate. But so much of this is like, it's my vision mixed with their vision, and I'm so proud of it. brkids.com.
Awesome. Yeah, everybody, please go check that out. Alex, thank you so much for being here. Next week we will. So next week is the makeup. I was gonna have Pat Gill formerly of Polygon, now Pizza Suplex. He was supposed to be on the show 3 weeks ago, and that was like 2 days after he found out that the capitalism is the worst. I mean, he found out again. I'm sure we all already knew that. So he was kind of like, can we take a rain check? And yes, so the rain check is next week, and we are talking about a really, really cool, weird Japanese movie from the 70s called Demon Pond, which is on Criterion. Very cool psychedelic fairy tale. And I have lined up a guest for next week, the week after that, and that's going to be on a Sunday night but a great guest, and I think the movie's gonna be really good too. But so look forward to that announcement. So just keep following me on the socials up here. And yeah, I might stream tomorrow, or I might not. I still have to make the helicopter for my avatar. Hang on, let me show you what I still have to make. Still got to make this guy, this part.
Wow, is that an avatar? Oh, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. See, so I made this, and I also made this, which is. The helicopter perches on the top of that as well.
Nice.
So and I've been really enjoying just making Lego on stream while I watch old Dick Cavett interviews or movie trailers and stuff.
You're gonna become Mr. Movies. I love it.
That's the plan. So I'm really glad that you are on board as well. That gives you a lot of confidence. So thank you so much, Alex.
Yeah.
I'm gonna send you everybody over to the great HC Justin, last week's guest. So enjoy that, and yeah, I will see everybody next week, and goodbye.
Am I still streaming?
You are technically. It's fine though. You can still hang on. Oh wait, yeah, there's the raid button.